Dive, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. We're coming here live from the Florida Keys. Yes, a place so popular, we're on lockdown. No, you can't get in here yet, but we're going to let you know as soon as you can because we need to go out there. We need to go scuba diving. Yes, we do. We need to get wet. We need to be talking about diving. We need to share diving. We need to share our scuba snacks. The snack's so good, you can double, you can triple, you can quadruple dip because we could talk about diving all day, folks. Yes, thank you for joining. Please let us know where you're joining from. We've had some really cool reach outs from Egypt, reach outs from Korea, reach outs from Alaska, reach outs just from across the street. People are so excited to get here and talk about scuba diving. So let's get at it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to sign in. Let us know where you come from. There you go. Newark, Ohio. Place so cool that it was named after the one in New Jersey. Not sure knew there was a Newark, Ohio. That's cool. We got Boston. Oh, hey, Michael. Yeah, it's really cool because we get to see people that we haven't seen for a while. Share with some people. We want to hear your stories too. Let us know. Send them some photos. We just want to get diving again. That's the thing that we're missing right now. So without further ado, or a don't. Hey there from Nashville, Krista. Let's say hi to our lovable and huggable David from. We're gonna get him socially adept pretty soon at about 20 feet away. Hey, David.
Hey, how's it going, Ross?
Oh, let's just check in.
So happy to be here as always.
Absolutely, thank you. And then we've got our very own, our single one, a man so cool. They named a city in Florida after him, Orlando.
Hello, team. Welcome, everybody. Thanks to be with us.
And a woman so popular, she was actually the one they named all of the dive gear Hollis after.
Hello, y'all. How are y'all doing? Excited to talk about scoop snacks and all the fun stuff topics we have today.
Absolutely. So we thought that we would like to bring to you some information on the Reactivate and what it used to be called the Refresher, but basically what people need to know about getting back in the water if they haven't been in the water for a while, what they need to do, why they may even want to do a refresher. I mean, let's say you got a couple hundred dives, but it's been 10 years. What might have changed? We're going to talk to our very own Orlando on that. But first, let's go to our lovable, huggable David to see what he's got on who should take a Reactivate.
I think there's lots of people who can take Reactivate. First of all, if you're a relatively new diver, maybe you've just had a trip or two and it's been a long time, maybe 6 months, a year, I think it would be a great course for you. It's pretty quick and easy, and it'll sort of get you back comfortable again in your skills, bring back that muscle memory, which is so important to diving. As Ross said, though, maybe you've done a lot of dives, but it's just been so long. I actually am even going to take myself through the Reactivate course and do all of the different skills that I get to teach to make sure that I haven't lost some of my own skills during this lockdown. So I will be my own student, I guess. So lots of reasons to do Reactivate if you haven't been diving in a while, and it's pretty quick, fun, and easy too, and it will make you more confident and comfortable when you get back into the water.
Wonderful, wonderful, and excellent advice. The great Uta Hagen actually wrote a book on the actor prepares. So maybe, David, you could write something on the instructor prepares in order to get ready for things. That's really good. Yeah, we have been out of the water for a long time. So maybe it would be something that you'd want to consider doing that Reactivate or that refresher. Again, the Reactivate is a newer course that can now be taken whether you are a PADI diver or a non-PADI diver. That was something that many people did not know, and it was actually something that just recently happened. So yes, you can come in, do your Reactivate. You're going to get a new card out of it. If you're a non-PADI member, it'll simply be a non-PADI card saying that you are not a PADI diver, but you are a reactivated diver. So tell me something, Hollis. What types of skills might we be looking at in doing the Reactivate?
So actually with the Reactivate, there's not many skills that are required for the Reactivate. What we'll be doing is we're going to do some math skills, of course. We'll be doing hovering skills. which is very, very important. I'll get to that in a second. Then we're going to do weight removal and replace. Make sure that you can get onto to the surface doing that buddy breathing as well, just in case something happens. And then, of course, just on top of the water, making sure you remember how to inflate that BCD and how all your equipment works. Now, one thing that I think is really important with reactivates in every since this is diving is that hover there. Make sure you have that nice neutral buoyancy. So, for example, we all, our bodies change, and I know during this quarantine, we've all been sitting at home and eating a little bit more. So no shame in that, no harm, no foul. But when you get back in the water, you probably won't be the same weight that you were maybe before this quarantine. So it's very important to get in there so that way you can adjust your weights again. Or if you have, and then that you can get that buoyancy nice and good again. So that's why I really think that's important. And of course, the mask skill is, I think, the most fundamental skill in diving, and even in snorkeling, we use it as well. If you don't know how to clear your mask, you don't remember how to do it, and then you have to do it on a dive, it's not comfortable, and it will lead to possibly a panic situation. So that's why it's so important to do that in the pool with an instructor where you can, stand up if you need to. And then, of course, the weight remove and replace, especially if you have new gear and you're using weight pockets for your first time, or if you're going to a location that doesn't have weight pockets and you're been using a weight belt for the first time in your life. You really want to know how to do that quick and easy drop on there.
That's excellent. Go ahead.
Oh, one last little thing that I see even with people who don't do the reactivates. Remember to inflate your BCD on the surface. That's one of the skills we'll go over in the reactivate. But oh my gosh, it's so nice to be buoyant on top. It's so less stressful. And so we'll give you a nice reminder to do that as well.
It's true. As a matter of fact, the Reactivate technically has 5 skills that are required. One of them, of course, is the CISA. And yes, there are some masks and there are neutral buoyancy things. The CISA is simply it's a skill that actually, PADI is the only organization that does the controlled emergency swimming ascent. There are different variations, but it's a skill that PADI and we as well feel is very important in order to understand, because at the very least, we know that in dire need, if we need to get to the surface, if our buddy is 40 feet away and we're 20 feet from the surface, it's faster to simply go up than go over our buddy and say that we're out of air, right? So it's an emergency situation, and it is an out of air situation. So it's one that we want to practice. So that is one that is required on the Reactivate. And then when you're done with the other 4 skills, if there are any other skills that you would like to go over, then you certainly can. The other nice thing about the Reactivate is that it's done in an e-learning fashion, so you can review any and everything that you think that you may have missed or forgotten during your open water course, or if it's just been a while, and it really helps you walk through. Now, Hollis brought up something really interesting about weight integrated versus a traditional weight belt and other things. Orlando, what might be some considerations that we would want to go over in a Reactivate or a refresher in pertaining to gear?
Okay, when we do a Reactivate course, we get familiar with all the gear again, where everything is located. Every single, how do we inflate our BCD again, how we deflate our BCD again, how we remove the weight, where the safety deflation devices is. Every single part of the gear is essential when we are diving. And for us to remember that where that gear is located make us a better diver, and that will help us to be more safe when we are on the water. And when you are more safe, you are more comfortable. When you are more comfortable, you enjoy your time on the water. So you are making that single minute count, and then in a really comfortable way. So when you take that time in the Reactivate course to know your gear, to engage with your gear, to be confident about your gear, is when you really enjoy your time on the water. And then that's what you're looking for, is to have fun, to see things on the water and enjoy every single minute that we can have. And for that reason, it's a really recommended thing to do that Reactivated course. Get familiar with every single piece of your gear again, and then that will give you the comfort that you need to be confident and a safe diver to be on the water. Thank you, Ross.
Wow, wonderful. That's why they named a city after him. That's some absolutely found advice, is to be comfortable with your gear, because if you're not comfortable with your gear underwater, then you're not going to have a fun time underwater. And that's the whole point, right? Like, for instance, we're having a tent sale this weekend on Saturday. It's going to be 12 to 3. You're going to be getting an email. We're going to put some information out there on Facebook so that you can come on in. It's going to be a live tent sale. There are going to be a lot of really cool things, and we're going to go over some of the gear that we've got. Well, for instance, if you haven't seen one already, this is a BC that's becoming very popular, especially here. So one of the things you would want to do when you're doing that reactivate when you come back is learn how to inflate it. Because if you go, where's my power inflator? That's what I said the very first time that I put this on. I said, where's my power inflator? Well, you would need to know that this is an i3 and it's on the side. It's a lever. And it's push pin technology, which means it's a rod that goes all the way through that when you goes up, it's going to inflate. It's going to sound like this. And when you go down, it's going to push a rod that's going to dump this one, and dump this one. So it's actually a really fast dumping BC, which is excellent. But you're going to want to practice. You're going to want to do a reactivate or a refresher with it, right? So those are some really important considerations. Now, as along the lines of the reactivate and the refresher, what is the general guideline for length of time that you've been out of water that PADI recommends that you should do a reactivate or a refresher, David?
I think you may have asked a question that I don't remember the exact answer to, believe it or not.
Right on! Ha ha ha!
Yeah. I feel like it should be either probably a year, but I'm not positive about that.
So that's an interesting topic, actually, because it turns into kind of a standard operating procedure from dive shop to dive shop. PADI will suggest that if you have not been diving in 12 months or more, that you should do a refresher or a reactivate. Again, the refresher is a component of the reactivate. The reactivate is there to also get you some more information on the material itself and get you a new certification card. There are several places, for instance, liveaboards that will say if you have not been diving in at least 6 months, you're required to show proof of and do a reactivate or a refresher. So that's a very good point. So there you go. What would you recommend to somebody who is in that situation where they're 12 months out? How would they go about signing up for that, David?
Well, signing up is always very easy. As with any other course, we talked about this last time. Just call your dive shop. Call us. We have people, even though we're not taking dive trips out right now, we've got people on the phones answering questions, looking into the future. So if you know you're coming down, give us a call. As Ross mentioned, thank you, John. We appreciate that. As Ross mentioned, there's an e-learning component where you can review some of the dive theory and other things that you learned in your open water course. You can do that on your own time. So when you get here, there's a lot of flexibility in the Reactivate in terms of exactly what you're going to do other than those few required things. So maybe you'll have some questions from the e-learning. Maybe you're a little bit nervous about regulator recovery. So we'll interview you and talk about that and sort of figure out what you want to get out of it. And then you'll be able to come out on our dive boats too, as long as you're here. We can do the reactivate in the pool and then take you out on a dive. So it's a good thing to do, but just give us a call.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, to go more specifically to the point, Mark, yes, or rather, the reactivate or the refresher is not necessarily on the calendar. All you would need to do is let us know that you want a reactivate when you come down to do your dives. We can do it in the morning. It can actually be done in the pool to get you going. And then obviously we can take you out on a dive shortly after. So we can brush off that COVID dust, so to speak, make sure that everything is good. and get you in the water. The other thing that we can do is, while we're waiting, we can actually do an equipment specialty. And that would be something that could help everybody out there. And by the way, if you're just tuning in now, please go ahead, log in, let us know where you're logging in from. I keep saying call in from, like I'm a call center or something. Sorry about that, guys. But let us know where you're logging in from. We do love hearing from you. Let us know some of your stories. If you've got some questions, Manchester, UK, cool, right on. Let us know what those questions are, and we're happy to address them. For instance, if there's a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about, or see us talk about, or see us argue about, we like to do that. Send it in. We're happy to do that. So yes, you would just need to ask when you call in to do a refresher or a reactivate, and we could certainly do that before we get you back in the water. And we can also put together an equipment specialty course online. We're presenting online courses on Zoom right now. If anybody's interested, let us know. We haven't set one up yet because we haven't really put a hard date yet, and we're waiting to see if the borders are going to open. But especially with this tent sale coming up on Saturday, 12 to 3, that we've got a lot of opportunities to get some new gear, play with the new gear. And with that gear, that equipment specialty course, we'll be able to actually show you how to maintain it and maybe check it even before you come to them. Starts at 2 until 4. Well, there you go. I'm so glad that I have a producer that keeps me straight and honest. So yes, it's 2 to 4. I'm glad it wasn't in my contract for that, but I'm going to change my contract. So tell me something, Hollis. I know you're you're an advocate for the underwater world, because everything that's underwater is alive until you touch it. What are some things that you would like to work on, or you like to see your students do and prepare when they're doing the Reactivate with you in the open water?
So the Reactivate, most important skill that is in there for me personally, the one we're going to use the most, is going to be that buoyancy control. Yes, you want to know that their mask is not going to flood, of course. You want to know how the seas up, but the thing that you're going to be using and practicing throughout your whole entire dive is going to be that buoyancy control. And especially getting used to those fin tips as well. That is the most common thing I see, is people kicking their fins. You got to remind yourself that when you put a fin on, you're putting an extra foot on top on your body, and you do not have eyes on the back of your fins. So you have to be aware. Number two is that it is a 360-degree world. So you have to be aware of every part of your body, especially on these reef dives with the fan coral. I've seen people just destroy that, and it breaks my heart, because that's probably one of my favorite things to see underwater as well, especially when the corals, when the light goes through it, is so beautiful, and I see them knocked over all the time. Especially, if you want to have good with buoyancy, it's also a safety thing as well. That way you're not going to be hitting that fire coral, or God forbid you land on a scorpion fish. So that's why that hovering is the most important skill in that Reactivate. And if you're with me, we will go over it over and over and over again. And what I ideally would like to do, and this is what I do, is I get us doing that buoyancy first. So that way we can do all of those skills neutral. You know how to do these skills. It's like riding a bicycle. And once you get that buoyancy right, then everything becomes a lot more relaxed. And you're not as intimidated by the water, like, because you haven't been in it for 6 months to a year, or even 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. So that will really calm you down as well, and makes it more zen when you get in that nice neutral buoyancy.
There you go. Back to the yoga diving. I love it. Absolutely. I keep expecting for Linky to pop up somewhere, but well, there he is. He's back. Or this is actually Linky's twin sister's brother's name, Linky. But Linky actually wanted me to remind everybody that if you're an open water diver, or an advanced diver, or whatever level diver that you are, and you're thinking that you actually want to take a refresher or a Reactivate, you can also look at the next course up. For instance, if you're an open water diver, you can simply do an advanced course, which would be 5 dives with an instructor, right? And you would have, think of the advanced course kind of like a Chinese buffet. You get to pick and choose what you like. You're going to start with the deep, and you're going to also do a navigation, but then you're going to do 3 other adventure dives, right? And as Linky always says, make the most out of your dives. So if one of those adventure dives is, say, peak performance buoyancy, our own very favorite, Then with one more dive, you can actually have 6 dives and be advanced and peak performance buoyancy specialty, right? Absolutely. Thank you very much, Linky. I appreciate you pointing that out. You could even do a dive against debris, which is only one dive. So you wouldn't do any extra dives. So one way or the other, you can get more out of your diving career just by asking, just by letting us know. So it doesn't have to just be a refresher. You can do the next course up. Now, in doing so, Orlando, Hollis was mentioning fins and different kinds of fins and kicking the fans, which is just, it breaks my heart. Sometimes you can't help it. But what kind of suggestions would you have on fins, for instance, that might help with a peak performance buoyancy diver or someone that just wants to be a little bit more streamlined?
Okay. First of all, we need to figure out what type of diving are we doing. In the keys, mostly warm water, so it's a full foot fins. We have plenty of fins in our retail store. That's a very own personal decision at the time that you uh, pick a fin that you wanna take. For example, the Aqualung Express are a really good fin, give you a really good propulsion. We also have the Stratos. We have the Atomic Split fins, which is a really comfortable kick at the time that you are on the water and help you to keep your body horizontal, and then you don't touch any coral at the time that you are swimming. Um, we also have the SEAC F150 fin that help you a lot. It's a really flexible fin that has a lot of silicone, so make your kick, really smooth. And you don't have to put a lot of effort at the time that you are kicking. Same time, help you to maintain that horizontal position, which is really important to don't touch nothing. As they say, take only photos and leave only bubbles when you're on the wall. Thank you, Ross.
There you go, folks. Yes, that's absolutely true. And you know what? You're going to hear more of this from Orlando and myself on Saturday during our tent sale because we're going to be showing you some of these fins. We may not be able to show you some of the finning techniques just because the last time I flooded the store with water, they got a little unhappy with me. But maybe we'll find some way to show you some of the products. But definitely do chime in on Saturday from 2 to 4. As I'm remembering well, yes, Saturday from 2 to 4 is going to be our very own tent sale. So please join us for that so that you can see all the different pieces of gear that we've been talking about. I mean, if you think about it, scuba is a gear-intensive sport, right? We've got to have gear that fits. We need to have gear that can streamline. We need to have gear that is going to keep us alive. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to finish that dive so we can come back and go on to Talk Dive Live and share our scuba snacks, right? So that said, let's get some of these scuba snacks from our divers. Let's go to Orlando because we haven't had a scuba snack from Orlando in a long time. Orlando, can you share for us a moment that you maybe left bubbles and took a photo at the same time? That was something really cool.
Well, as I am one of the retail guys at Rainbow Reef, I'm not so often in the water. But one day I was like, I need to go diving. And then that day was a really special because I got to see a hammerhead, and then was a guy with a camera. And then one of the times I have been guiding on Molasses Reef, I saw a hammerhead, and then in a picture. It was a great moment for me. I was really excited to see a hammerhead. So that was one of the times that we took pictures and we only left bubbles.
Yes, if you see a diver come by you and does this, that means it was a hammerhead that they saw. Actually, I remember a really good buddy of mine saw a big old 12-foot hammerhead. There was actually somebody that had an amazing photo kit, took pictures, and lost all the pictures. So that was unfortunate. He was very sad. David, how about yourself? I know you've been hitting us with all kinds of really cool stories. So I want you to dig right down to the bottom of your soul to see what you got inside, so you can share a scuba snack with us.
So, one of my favorite fish is the spotted drum. especially the juveniles, which are like little black and white commas. But the adults are so beautiful too. And one of the nice things about the Benwood wreck, which is one of our shallow wrecks that anybody can do, is that there is a pair of spotted drums who live there, and they're very shy, so I don't see them every time I dive around the wreck, because sometimes they're way, way underneath, hiding away, but most dives there we see them. They live in the same spot. They're so sweet. I have not yet seen a juvenile spotted drum in Key Largo, although I know they're around and people see them a lot. So that is actually on my Key Largo immediate bucket list when we get back into the water.
Absolutely. You know, I've got a absolute boat full of buckets of lists that I've got to get back in the water, just because it's been so hard. I think every time I actually walk into my apartment now, I do a giant stride, just fall in, but just do a giant stride. Then I turn around and I give the okay signal. Yeah. It's been hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been difficult. Those three little words, dive, dive, dive. I mean, I know they're the same word, but I just need to hear them. I need to hear them soon. So Hollis, perk me up, cheer me up, give me a yoga dive or a shark dive. I don't care which one. Let me snack on that scuba snack. What you got?
Oh, so God, I think the coolest photo that's ever been taken of me was on this amazing drift dive when I was in Cozumel. And I feel like I could get a similar photo here as well. So we were on this drift dive there, and we were pretty deep, and probably about like, I don't know, not that deep, like 70 feet. And all of a sudden we just see this massive loggerhead turtle just hanging out there. And my friend who had a really nice camera at the time, when we kind of bounced back, he was like, "You get in front of that or get next to it right now." And so we're face to face. And I love this photo so much. And I'm like this much above the sand, maintaining, like I said, that perfect buoyancy. And we're looking right at each other. And looking back on it, it's the biggest thing, biggest turtle I've ever seen. It was the size of me. Like the only reason why I looked longer was because of my fins. If I didn't have my fins on, it would have been just as tall as I was too. So that is one of my favorite photos that I've ever gotten. And I still show it off to people this day. Like if I'm out, I'm like, "Hey, you want to see something cool?" And I look at my phone, I still have it saved on there. And this is from like 6 years ago. So that's my little scuba snack right there. Also,
That's cool.
I had a cautionary tale as well.
Oh dear, is that kind of like a wind tail? No.
So
What's your cautionary tale?
So it was actually in the same area, not the same dive. But I had this is why it's so important to not only do a refresher, but also to have your own gear as well. Because unlike Rainbow Reef, some places in the world just don't take care of their rental gear. It's just a sad fact that we, here in Key Largo, here at Rainbow Reef, we have the best rental gear I've ever worked with. But other places, not so much. So I was on a dive. I was freelancing with a shop that I hadn't really used before. I got in his rental gear and everything, and we're on the dive. And luckily, before this, we were going over this skill, and it's the unhook your low pressure inflator and put it back in. And I think that's one of the most important skills, and it's one of the ones that's most commonly overlooked as well. So we're diving. We're at about, I don't know, like we're deeper than 60. We're about probably like 80 feet or so on a wall. And all of a sudden I look next to him and his jacket is inflating and he's going up and up and up. And I was so proud because he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He unhooks his LPI from his BCD, so that way, there's no more air going inside the BCD. And unfortunately, the rest of the dive, he just had to orally inflate and everything. But that afternoon, guess what he did? He bought his own BCD. If you have your own gear and you're the one that takes care of it, you don't have to worry about these little things that are out of your control. So get your own stuff. That way it'll ease your mind so much more.
To add to that, many years, as a matter of fact, back in the 1900s, when I was doing some of my training, I didn't own my own gear at the time. And the same thing happened. I was in Vancouver, BC, at about 80 feet, cold, and I was in rental gear. And I went to inflate my power inflator, and it kept inflating and kept inflating. And I did what I needed to do and got it all off and managed it and got back. And as soon as I got back to the shop, I purchased all my own gear. So yes, it is very important to have your own gear, be knowledgeable about your own gear. So think about that equipment specialty. And more important than just knowledgeable about your own gear, making sure that it's maintained annually and that it fits. Right? Don't buy something just because it's cheap. That's cheap gear is just going to be cheap gear, right? This is life-sustaining gear, so you want it to be like really good quality and be really comfortable. So there you go. Those are our tidbits for the day. Thank you for joining us. We've had a little bit of shark talk, a little bit of yoga talk, but it's all been scuba talk. So that's what we were here for, is our scuba snacks. So thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to sign in on Wednesday. We've got another one at 4:30, Friday at 4:30, and 2 to 4 we've got our tent sale. So thank you from David, Orlando,
Hey,
and
see you next time.
Hollis.